Welcome to TQ Talks, where taxes meet planning. Here's your host, Craig White.
Welcome to another episode of TQ Talks. I'm your host, Craig White, and happy to have you with us. We are definitely looking at a lot of things going on. Tax season is pretty much coming to an end, at least for us in some regard. We still have a lot of corporation stuff to do, but hey, those aren't bad. It's not as stressful as the hustle and bustle of the full tax season. By now, if you've been joining us with our podcasts, hopefully you're realizing how structure and setting things up to succeed in a business format as far as tax planning is very important. Last episode, we went over a calendar, to tax calendar, which I know was kind of weird for people to even realize that something like that existed. But now we're going into something that's we've seen a bunch of times where people are assuming that tax planning isn't working or doesn't work, and they don't understand what's going on. And when, just so you understand, people or businesses who concentrate on tax planning, we're, of course, using strategies and understanding of things, but there's software. There's software that you can definitely buy that helps you to put people's information in, and theoretically, it spits information out. Whether you understand or know what the information is another thing. And, much like most technology, it's only good if you understand what's going on. So it tells you whammy tammy, slammy slammy. Great. If you don't know what that means, who cares? All right. And a lot of times we've also noticed, because God knows we've tested a lot of different softwares, that some of the strategies and some of the things they come up with, because it's really more like bullet points, they suck or they don't apply to that person, and it's just a generic fit. But the most important thing we've seen in a failing tax plan, because that's what we're talking about, is it just doesn't work. I don't understand, this is not working, is execution and timing. There's a lack of understanding, there's a lack of execution, there's lack of timing. We give the information. We say, hey, this is what's going on in your life based on all the things we've gone over, all the information you've given us, the conversation we've had. We're seeing in literal time, touching tangible, seeing the evidence on the tax return, and we're addressing what your plans are moving forward. With all that information, we create a tax plan. Here are certain strategies that you can use. What happens after we hand that off, right? The baton, we hand it to the next person, and what happens in the race? Because a lot of people assume tax planning doesn't work, but it's not the planning. It's usually just the execution that sucks, to be quite frank. So again, this episode, we're going to go over that. We're going to tell you some of the core things that naturally break down in a tax planning session, what happens after we give the information, and who does what with what, who's at fault and who's not. It's always somebody got to take the blame, right? So tax planning only works if everything around it works. It's a unit. It's not just about what you do. It's also about when, how, and if you actually do it. That is a huge last portion. Will you do the things that we give you? So let's start with timing. Timing breaks everything, right? That's, honestly, that's life. Timing is one of the most important nuances in business, in relationships, in almost everything. It affects you. So timing is, for us, as we've seen it over the years, is one of the biggest reasons why the plans fall apart. Decisions get made too late in the year, even though we tell you, because the calendar is giving you that information, when it should be applied. You try to fix things after the income is already earned, right? So you say, hey, I already got it. No, remember, we're supposed to do strategy 1, 3, and 8 at this moment, but you didn't. You're waiting until tax season. We addressed this like maybe 2 episodes ago. You're waiting until tax season is here before you start to actually do the things we talked about. It's just a too late scenario. A lot of strategies have to be implemented within the time frame. Here's one. Augusta rule. Augusta rule, which I won't break down in this episode, is something that you can actually use year-round. year-round, but you need to record the information in real time. We send out sheets and charts and every piece of information that makes it super easy for the clientele to say, okay, here's the meeting we had or the event we hosted or whatever it is, time, date, every piece of information is on there. I would be happy to try to tell you how many people are talking to us about this information in March and April, not because they're planning for the year, they're trying to do a look back. And we sit there and say, how are you going to find evidence or information or get the proper guidance, right? Because we give it to you, but how are you going to write down what actually occurred at these meetings or how much you rented the space out for now? It's too late. We gave you that information how long ago? So timing is very important. And business owners, I was saying that to another business owner the other day, we are the worst at being business owners. Business owners suck at being business owners. That's what it boils down to. We're really good at running or trying to get our businesses established and churning and making money. But the daily operations of being a business owner are difficult for most people. Tax planning is one of those nuances. You're not good at tax planning. You're not good at strategizing. You're not good at following directions. And it's not because you're not good at it in a, definitive phrase. It's more like you don't have the time or understand how. You're not hiring the right people to help you to free the time, because this doesn't have to be something you do when we put these strategies together, but you have to be able to either do it yourself or delegate. Understand who you are. I know darn well me in this company, I do not touch. Listen, no technology, no apparatuses, nothing. It is a doom and gloom situation if Craig comes to your office and you say, hey, I have a question how to do. Oh, my God. You can ask me, meaning real information, tax information, but don't ask me to figure out your email setup or listen, and if you give me pieces of technology, recording boards, your headphones, your mics, I'm breaking it. 100%. That's who I have been all my life. And it's not because I get frustrated. It's who I am. It sucks. It just doesn't work well with me. Patrick, on the other hand, who you guys don't hear from, Patrick is behind the scenes making all this stuff look very simple. Everything we do from year to year, from January to December, he's dealing with all these nuances, and I get frustrated in a blink of an eye. And for him, oh man, this is so easy. But it's who we are. We learned who we were early on. We delegated responsibilities, and everyone knows their role. When you're putting together your tax strategy, or we're putting it together for you, and we're figuring out the timing for all these things, part of it is for you to realize who you are and who you aren't. If we're giving you the information and hey, this is not something I know how to do, make sure you delegate it. Make sure the timing of all these things that we're giving you isn't missed because you don't have the ability to do so. And yeah, we're pointing the finger because we're the same way, right? We're coming to you from the perspective of been there, done that. Learn who you are, what you can do, and when you can do it. And if it's not something that's in your wheelhouse, get rid of it. Point 2, execution. Execution. This is where things look real good on paper. We give it to you. You see how the numbers are going to change. Oh my God, we're going to save 50, 60,000 next year. And then nothing happens. Literally nothing happens. The strategy we discussed never gets implemented. The entity structure we told you to change, you never signed the papers. The payroll, we said, hey, you need to make the adjustment. You never did it. Come November, December, we're having that conversation with you and you go, oh my God, right? Here we go. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Accounts or structures never got set up. We give you the blueprint, but a plan that isn't executed is a conversation, folks. We're doing it right now. We're doing it right now. You have to be able to take the information and apply it, right? That's the whole point of this tax planning thing. It has to be something that is actually done. Knowledge is powerful. Is that the phrase? I think we used to do that all the time as a hashtag. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. I used to type that all the time. You know what I changed it to? Knowledge plus application equals power. That was, if you go back and look at our social media, that's one of the hashtags I smashed everywhere. Because if you don't apply the information that you were given, it's just conversation. Great, you learned it. Wonderful. Now what? You got an 850 credit score. Good for you. What are you doing with it? You got equity in your house. Wonderful. Now what happens to that equity? If you're not utilizing it, if you're not using what's there, then it's a waste. You're literally wasting. You have to execute the plans that are given to you. Point 3, lack of follow through. Tax planning isn't a one-time decision. We talked about this in a bunch of episodes. It's ongoing. It is a cyclical event. It changes month after month after month after month, depending on how the business is going. And no one expects you to spend 14 hours a week on this. It's a look through. It's, hey, I noticed we were supposed to do this, and man, you know what? This is not working. Or, hey, it really is working. That's why we do quarterly check-ins. You guys get texts and emails from us because we need to know what's going on to help you to make the adjustments as needed. You can't ignore the plan after it's been created. You're literally defeating the purpose of all the things we're discussing. So planning requires maintenance, just like your business does. That's all it is. You have to follow through. You have to be the proactive person in the tax planning strategy. Once the information is given, you got to do something with it. You can't just sit still and say, hey, that's it, we're done. It's never going to work that way. Strategies don't work in isolation. That's our 4th point. And it's a big one. It's a big one. Subtle, but it's big. At the end of the day, strategies are connected. If we give you one thing, it usually bridges to another one. One decision is going to impact another. Timing and coordination matters. So if we're telling you about a strategy that's used when you're on vacation and in conjunction with something else, guess what? You got to put them all together. Changing your entity structure without adjusting your compensation is foolishness. That's an easy one for you to understand. We made the adjustment, but you didn't make the adjustment on the other side. So great, 1 out of 2. We're shooting 50%. We're shacking out here on these free throws. Taking deductions without planning your cash flow. We did a cash flow talk. I don't remember which episode it is, but you have to have that implemented and understand what's going on before you do it. Layering strategies without understanding the interaction in it. When we're giving you these pieces of information, right? You're giving me a sheet and you look through it, we're talking about it, you have to make sure you understand why. That's one of the things we talked about it. My wife, shout out to Rhea, RC Law Group. That's one of the things she helped me to remember or to learn a long time ago. You can't give people too much information. We do one strategy at a time. One. We might give you a sheet with 1,000. One is what we're going over because you have to be comfortable with that strategy, understand what it does so we can layer it with another strategy before moving on. Otherwise, it's just going to be you regurgitating information. We talk about with school all the time. I don't know where everybody goes to school differently. I'm from the islands, and we did not have multiple choice. So you had to know the information. You couldn't guess. You had to write things out so someone could look at it and understand that Craig has a full understanding of what's going on. So the tax planning is a system. It's not a list of random moves. It's chess, people. It really, really is. It is chess, and you have to make sure that you understand it. Last point, no clear ownership. No clear ownership. Who's responsible? Is it you? Is it the advisor? Is it the CPA? Is it the EA? Who is the person that's responsible for all these things? Everyone is assuming someone else is handling it. There's no ownership of it. For us, the onus is going to be on you, as it should be. You're the business owner. If no one owns the plan doesn't get executed. Easy as that. So you have to take full responsibility. Make sure you understand what's going on. Make sure you know how these strategies work and how you're correctly layering them, the timing of when to implement them so that it all works out for you and your business. And you need to understand, again, we just said it, that it's cyclical. It's not a one and done situation. We're talking about it and talking about it and talking about it and making changes as need be. The value isn't in the idea. It's in the implementation of that idea. That's all we have for this episode of TQ Talks. We know it was a lot and it's good information. Make sure that if you have a tax planning strategy session, if you have the information, that you are 100% committed to it and utilizing the time correctly. Make sure that you take ownership of your plan. Thanks again for listening. In the next episode, we're going to talk about, I think it's filing to planning. I don't remember what it is, or how to take control of your taxes. I know it's one of those that Patrick had set up in there, but again, thank you so much for joining us. We really love having you with us. Again, follow us or find us on wherever you get your podcasts. Let my son do his thing. Guys, have a great evening.
Thank you for listening to TQ Talks. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and recommend on iTunes, SoundCloud, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get more information at tqfinancials.com.